way before the Greeks even got in power. By the time the Greeks got in power, Daniel was long gone. Daniel was already dead. You know, so he's giving them a future listing of these rulers that were going to eventually come toward the latter end of the Medo-Persian Empire. Well, you know, pretty much the main rulers of the Medo-Persian Empire. But Daniel didn't live to see all of it through. You know, but pretty much after that, that's where it segues into the Greek Empire, because it was the Greeks that took over the Persians. All right. You know, there's different stories that goes into that. One of my favorite movies to watch. All right. Just as one of the impactful parts of history that was part of that transition is the 300, which goes into the battle of Thermopylae. You know what I'm saying? Which is like the heated valley or something like that. You know, and you actually have Xerxes that's in that movie. But going into these three kings, these three Persian kings, and the fourth that was richer than them all. All right, when you go in order, the first one is Cambyses. And this Cambyses right here is the son of Cyrus. Okay. The second one is Darius the first. I'm sorry, excuse me. The second one is Pseudo-Samaris. All right. The third one is Darius the first. And then afterward, you have Xerxes. All right. You can read about this Xerxes also when you read the book of Esther, where it goes into King Ahasuerus. That's the same one. Okay. So again, the three Persian kings that it's talking about that I not just read is Cambyses. And for brothers that are listening, all right, this is one of those lessons. All right. To be, you know, it's important that you're taking notes if you're around a notebook and a pen, because there's a lot of information that's going to be coming out. Okay. So again, the first king out of these three kings is Cambyses, who was the son of Cyrus, Pseudo-Samaris, Darius the first. And then the fourth king, all right, that the brother just read about is Xerxes. And this is the rich king. All right. Matter of fact, Baba Kashal Tazama, can you hold Esther chapter 1, start at verse 3, and we can read down to verse 8?
Esther 1, for start verse 3, and read down to 8.
I had a question after we read it.
Come on.
No, I was going to ask a question.
So, when we read this first, a question?
No, you can go ahead and bring the question out.
With Cyrus, the first, at first it was Darius the Mede, right? The first, like, because you know the Medo-Persian Empire, read by the Medes.
They had a little stint first,
right? You know, Darius the Mede, and then because he was the one that took over the Babylonian Empire, and then Cyrus the Great. Was he a Mede too, or was he a Persian?
Persian.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a Persian.
Okay. You read about him. You can read about his come up even thousands, like not like thousands. I'd rather say like maybe like 300, 400, almost 500 years before in
Isaiah 45. That's right.
Persian.
Okay. Yeah, and it's unique because when you look at the Medes are actually Japhetic. You know, the Persians are Elamites. You know, so those are like two nations, but they kind of had a joint rule together, for lack of better words, which eventually the Persians just pretty much completely took over. You know, and that's again where the Greeks pretty much took them over afterwards. You know. Yeah, you got it, Toss.
Esther chapter 1, verse 3.
Keep forgetting this is a mic right here. I'm touching it and shit. He's gonna be like,
it still sounds good.
Okay, cool.
I'm starting verse 1 for you.
That's cool.
I like to start right where there ain't no comments and stuff.
That's fine.
Esther 1:1. It says, "Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus. This is Ahasuerus which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia."
Right, and this whole region, that's a mass region that he ruled from India all the way to Ethiopia. You know how far that is?
Provinces. Over 120 provinces.
Over 120 provinces. This is a large mass of territory that he ruled, which is why it shows you an example of his riches that he had. This same Ahasuerus that this brother's reading about is Xerxes. All right. The fourth rich king in Daniel 11:2. You got it.
It says, "Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus, this Ahasuerus which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia over 120 provinces." So I said wrong. It says he ruled over 107 provinces.
Okay, well there you go. 100, 107. Shit. There you go.
He said over 107 provinces.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, 127. Which 120, 127, not far off, but still, it just goes to show his reach, his grasp that he had. You got it.
It says that in those days, when the king Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan the palace, in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and his servants. The power of Persia and Media, the nobles and princes of the provinces being before him. When he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom.
There you go. Boom. That's the point right there. It goes into the riches of his glorious kingdom. So he far exceeded his predecessors before when it comes to riches, status, nobility. Okay, you got it.
It says, when he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom in the honor of his excellent majesty many days, even 180 days. So it's 180 days. That he had, pretty much he was having a party for 180 days.
Yeah, score is 20.
Yeah. It says here, verse 5. You said verse 8, right?
Yeah, verse 8, that's fine.
Verse 5, it says, and when these days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan the palace, both unto great and small, 7 days, in the court of the garden of the king's palace, where were white, green, and blue hangings, which those hangings are talking about curtains. It says, fastened with cords of fine linen and purple to silver rings and pillars of marble. The beds were of gold and silver, upon a pavement of red and blue and white and black and marble. And they gave them drink in vessels of gold, the vessels being diverse one from another, and royal wine in abundance, according to the state of the king. Verse 8. And the drinking was according to the law, none did compel. For so the king had appointed to all the officers of his house that they should do according to every man's pleasure.
All right, there you go. So pretty much the point of that was to give you an example or a glimpse of his riches, and it expounded on it when you read that in Esther, what we just read. Okay, so you got it right now. That was pretty much the point on that one. All right, so brothers, we're currently going into Daniel 11 for the bros that just walked in. We're going to be doing a breakdown on this chapter. We're going to try to get to a portion of it. Probably not going to get through all of it. We're going to get through a nice portion of it. And we're currently at verse 2 right now. All right.
Okay. I continuing on in Daniel 11. In the middle of verse 2, it says, behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia, and the 4th shall be far richer than they all.
All right. So again, for the 3rd time, the first king is Cambyses. The second king is Pseudo-Samaritus. The 3rd king is Darius the First. And the 4th richer king is Xerxes. Again, in Esther, he's spoken as Ahasuerus. Okay. You got it, bro.
Yep. It says, and by his strength, through his riches, he shall stir up all against the realm of Grecia.
All right. So with those riches, that's exactly what he did with those riches. And again, I mentioned a movie before. 300 is a great watch. You know what I'm saying? Just a quick little example of it. It doesn't give you a whole glimpse of what was taking place in that time. But when you watch that movie, it shows his riches, and it also shows his power. And it also shows, you know, that world of stirring up. Even the second 300 movie, it expounds on it further, but it goes into the grasp that he had in the conflict between Greece and Persia in that time. And this is a transition of power. Okay.
Xerxes was known for having a military called the Million Man Army.
There you go.
You know, which, you know, it wasn't necessarily, well, you know, it was a lot of people, but like his military, that's why Iran now is like, you know, when you look at Iran and Turkey, places like that, these are places that have significant history, you know, whereas they're known for their military power, they're known for their antiquity, you know. So, but Xerxes, one part of his riches was the fact that he had a vast military, you know, military, you know.
And again, when you look at all the provinces that he had, it makes sense why his military was so vast. It made mention from India all the way to Ethiopia. And when you look at India right now, next to, I mean, no, it's not even next to China. It's above China. It's the most populated country in the world.
East of Iran, so it's way out there.
You said
1.3.
Yeah, around 1 point. Yeah, exactly. Over 1 billion people. You know, you got it, bro.
Continuing on, it says, and a mighty king shall stand up that shall rule with great dominion and do according to his will.
Now, who is this mighty king that it's talking about that fought against the Persian Empire? This mighty king that rose up for one of the, you know, Alexander the Great. That's right. You know, we can read that really quick in Maccabees if a brother's holding it.
I got a precept real quick.
Contas.
This is Daniel chapter 8, verse 5. I'm just jumping straight to the point.
You can read to verse 8 too if you want.
Oh, you was already holding this?
It's all good, bro. That's the spirit.
Daniel chapter 8, verse 5, it says, and as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth and touched not the ground.
So Daniel got a lot of future, like, that's why I said before brothers came in, when you read the book of Daniel, that's a very heavily prophetic book. You know, and even like Daniel 11, as we're reading, this is a lot to go into, but it's all prophecy. So the Lord was dealing with Daniel on a very high level. You know, and just as Daniel got a glimpse and a view of what was going to take place in the future, because he was a prophet, very similar to us. All right, especially if we believe that we're the prophets here today. So we have that glimpse of what's getting ready to happen here within the future. You know, you got it, bro.
It says, and the goat had a notable horn between his eyes.
All right, so the goat is talking about Greece. All right, it's talking about Greece. That's the he goat, which ironically enough, that same he goat, when you go into that word goat in the Hebrew, the word is sha'ir. You know what I'm saying, in the Hebrew, which is seer, like Mount Seir. You know what I'm saying? So even synonymous enough, you know, when it being the Edomites that represent Seir, and the Greeks coming into power, who are Edomites. Spiritually, you look at it, that's a symbolic representation to show you that that's Esau. You know, if you look at it, if you filter it that way through the spirit, you know, even in Psalm 68, it tells you that the Lord is going to come and judge the hoary head of the wicked. And when you go into that word hoary, it's the same word for goat, sha'ir. You know what I'm saying?
If I may, isn't that and touch not the ground, that's going into how swiftly Alexander the Greek pretty much started to conquer, it's a Persian and the Medes.
Absolutely. Yeah, because it only took him 12 years to conquer the whole earth. You know, 12 years. And he was 32 years old when he died. So he was 20 when he started. He's like, you know, one of the younger brothers that come in all green, vibrant. That's how old he was when he started running shit. You know, so the Lord put a special spirit on Alexander. Not special like he was a good man, and we know that, but a key role in prophecy. The Lord used him for that. You know, and there's history that goes into Alexander when you read about him in the writings of Flavius Josephus. You read about how he Hellenized the world. And you also read about, as he Hellenized the world, how intrigued he was with us to the point where we weren't even Hellenized in that time. We were still able to sacrifice. We were still able to serve the Lord. You know, you can even read about it in history where we actually welcomed him into the temple and showed him where he was listed at in prophecy.
Yeah, that was a dream that he had.
Oh, that was a dream that?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought he actually physically went up in there too.
That was a dream. He had a dream where it was in Josephus.
Okay, well, I read that. Well, I guess it's been a year since I read that part.
It was a dream, though. It was a vision.
Okay.
It was a vision that he had where he went into the temple in his dream, and then it was a priest before him. He showed him in the scriptures, like, this is where you are in the scripture.
Okay, the water, for sure.
But yeah, like you said, he didn't Hellenize the Jews. The one thing was like, look, if you served in the military, then you can still keep the law. You can still do what you did.
Right.
You know.
And it's beautiful. The Lord showed him that dream because that dream might have been was probably the determining factor of why he didn't want to Hellenize us. You know, that made him intrigued. You know, but yeah, you got it. Well,
I was reading Daniel.
Yeah, we can get back to that.
Because that said notable, and that word notable, when you get it, it means conspicuous. You know, and the definition of conspicuous is standing out so as to be clearly visible, attracting notice or attention.
There you go. And Alexander definitely did that. You still talk about him to this day. When you think of a king that has the great after his name, the first name that comes to mind is Alexander the Great. Okay, you got it.
Verse 6, it says, and he came to the ram that had two horns, which I had seen standing before the river.
And that ram with the two horns represent the Medo-Persian Empire. Okay, you got it.
Did you want that First Maccabees too? Or?
Oh yeah, no, we gonna definitely go into that for sure. Con.
It says, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram and brake his two horns.
That choler is going into wrath, anger, you know what I'm saying, warfare, insidious intentions to fight and kill. Go ahead, read that part again.
And I saw him, come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram and brake his two horns.
I don't know if it's too late, but I was.
And there was no power in the ram to stand before him.
Came later.
But he cast him down to the ground and stamped upon him. And there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand.
There you go. Because again, it was the time appointed, all right, for that third beast to come into fruition. All right. And for those of you that don't know what I mean when I say third beast, you can get understanding on that when you read the prophecy in Daniel, the 7th chapter, where it makes mention of those four beasts that were going to come and had their time to rule the earth in their appointed time. All right. So this is very heavy what we're going into, because when you read history in the Bible, all right, at least the Bible that we've been given before we came to the truth, before the Apocrypha, you didn't read about the Greek Empire too much. You know, it makes mention of, you know, the Babylonian Empire, makes mention of the Persians and the Medes, and there's a lot of vast history that we have in that. But when it comes to that third beast, it's a mystery. But it's still relevant because it's written up in there. And you can read about the bulk of that in Daniel, the 11th chapter, Daniel, the 8th chapter, the Maccabees, all right, Sirach. That's also written during the Greek Empire, you know. So that's a lot of history that goes into that, and it's important. And it can't be something that's just blunked through, because that's what modern day, well, that's what Christianity does. You know, they'll air out, you know, when I say they'll X out that crucial time in history and such like that, and they do that by discrediting the Apocrypha, you know.
Verse 8, last verse. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken. And for it came up four notable ones toward the four winds of heaven.
There you go. All right, now, Arak, you can pull that up in First Maccabees, the 1st chapter, and you can start at the top and read down about verse 4.
Okay.
Because it's going to go into those. Pretty much what that's going into was after Alexander fell, after he died. All right, his 4 generals came and took possession of the known world at that time, of his dominion that he had.
Right.
All right, you see how I worded it. It said the 4 winds of heaven, which shows you the mass grasp that Alexander had before he died. You got it, bro.
This is First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 1. It says, and it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, which is, if I'm not mistaken, talking about Italy,
Yeah.
the Italian peninsula.
Yeah, you know, Cyprus, that area right there. That's what it's talking about right there.
It says,
But later on, there are scriptures that does make mention of Chittim, which is talking about Rome.
okay,
You know, but that's the area that he actually came from, was the Cyprus realm.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
It says, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece, and made many wars, and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth, and went through to the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him.
There you go. Like you just said, Shapar, pretty much, you know, how he did it swiftly. You know, there was nothing else to conquer afterward. You know, he came and wrecked shop, you know, like,
I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, wasn't even upset to the point of like tears almost.
He literally lamented.
Yeah, he lamented.
Yeah.
He was upset that there was nothing else for him to conquer.
Mm-hmm.
And then no word at that time.
Yeah, absolutely.
He had it all, basically.
Yeah, and it's heavy because when you read about the prophecy of Esau, how he was going to rule the world with the sword, this is the nativity of that. You know, this is the start of that. You know,
That's why they say civilization starts with the Greeks.
there you go. There you go. Mm-hmm. Which is their civilization. You know, Edomite supremacy started with the Greeks.
Exactly.
You know, you got it.
It says, verse 3, it says, and he went through to the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, and so much that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up. And he gathered a mighty strong host, and ruled over countries and nations and kings, who became tributaries unto him.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Verse 5, it says, and after these things he fell sick, and perceived that he should die.
So like I said 1 through 4, but you can kind of read a little more.
Okay.
Yep.
Verse 6, it says, wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them.
There you go. So just as what Tazim I read in Daniel, the 8th chapter, going into the he-goat with that horn, and that horn broken up into the 4, is going into the 4 generals that pretty much his kingdom was given to. All right. Now, Isaiah, brother, who are them 4 generals?
The 4 generals.
And kind of speak up too for the camera to hear you.
So I think you find that in 2nd Maccabees chapter 1.
So First Maccabees 1.
I think so, yeah.
Mhm.
Been a while since I went over it, but I know you got Ptolemy, one of them.
Uh-huh.
There's 2 major ones. Ptolemy is one of the major ones.
He ruled over the Egyptians.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, but it's been a while since I went over this.
Okay. Okay. Hey, Thashah, can you help him out?
Ptolemies, Seleucus.
Yep, Seleucus, that's right. And these, if I may, really quick before you continue, these are the 2 main factors in Daniel 11. Because again, this chapter is going into the Syrian wars, And there were multiple different skirmishes in these Syrian wars, but it was constant conflict between the king of the south and the king of the north. All right, the king of the south representing the Ptolemaic Empire, and the king of the north representing this. That's fine. Representing the Seleucid Empire. Okay, so you got it. There's two more. And speak up a little bit for the camera to get you. There you go. Mm-hmm. And Lysimaeus. All right. Now, within those four generals, you can put an antagonist sitting there, because when you go into history, all right, antagonists actually usurped the region of Babylon that Seleucus had. And Seleucus ended up fleeing into Egypt and served under Ptolemy for a period of time, where eventually he broke free and took over the realm of Babylon again. All right, ironically enough, the first land that Seleucus occupied was Babylon. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying it through the spirit, a little cool little link through the spirit,
Didn't they call him the one-eyed, antagonist, the one-eyed?
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, for sure. Hey, there you go. So yeah, that was it. That was it on that. The water. We can get back to that Daniel 11.
Come on. Let's continue on. Daniel 11 and verse 4 says, and when he shall stand up, his kingdom shall be broken and shall be divided toward the four winds of heaven.
There we go. So we just broke that down. All right. And Daniel, the 8th chapter was broke down. All right. And it was also broke down as the brother just read that in 1 Maccabees 1. You got it.
It says, and not to his posterity, nor according to his dominion, which...
Because he didn't have no... I think he did have a son, but his son was slow. His son was retarded. So they ended up killing his son.
Yeah.
That way they took power.
He was on the spectrum.
Yeah, exactly. He was a little slow.
Yeah. It says, and not to his posterity, nor according to his dominion, which he ruled, for his kingdom shall be plucked up, even for others beside those.
That's right. What verse was that?
That was verse 4 I just read.
Okay, Khan, that's right. We can segue right here. Shalom. We can segue right here into verse 5.
All right, continuing on to verse 5. It says, and the king of the south shall be strong, and one of his princes, and he shall be strong above him.
Man, I'm glad we're going live because my phone just cut off.
Okay. Yes. Yes, it's still live on my page.
It's cool. It's all good. Like I said, I'm going to do another one later on anyway, and I'll just, add. So whatever.
Okay.
Ain't no but Satan.
Yep.
But yeah, read that again.
Yep, it says, for his kingdom shall be plucked up, even for others beside those. Verse 5, it says, and the king of the south shall be strong, and one of his princes.
All right, so the king of the south that it's talking about is Ptolemy the first, or Ptolemy Soter. Okay? He is the first king of the south that you read about here. When I made mention that Seleucus stayed under him, this is what it means when it goes into the prince that was with him. This is talking about Seleucus right here. All right, which eventually he would take the Syrian world, the Coeli Syria world, but before that took place, he was under Ptolemy.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I may, the south, that would be because he was, Ptolemy was over Egypt, which is south of all the other lands that consisted of the German, the Greek Empire. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Continuing on in verse 5, it says, and he shall be strong above him and have dominion. His dominion shall be a great dominion.
There you go. I mean, it goes right into it. It's right now it's a setup of these two superpowers that are eventually going to start warring and fighting against each other. But again, like I stated earlier, before brothers came in, but obviously what we already know, Edomites always fight with each other. When it comes to the throne, when it comes to authority, one is never satisfied with the other one being unruled. And you have ample examples throughout the history of Edomites always fighting against each other and not liking each other. All right. Again, this whole skirmish is taking place between the Seleucid line and the Ptolemaic line, but the Seleucid line came up under the Ptolemaic line. You got it.
It says,
what verse you on?
I just finished verse 5.
Okay.
Verse 6 says, and in the end of years, they shall join themselves together. For the king's daughter of the south shall come to the king of the north to make an agreement.
All right. So the king's daughter of the south, Ptolemy Soter's daughter, all right, whose name is Bernice. All right. Her name is Berenice. What was her last? It was like Syra. Berenice Syra. But this is a covenant that was made. And we brothers know that those covenants were made through marriage. All right, if you wanted to join a house together, that would take place through marriage. So this was supposed to unify these two nations that are eventually going to be kicking each other's ass. All right, and there's a reason why, you know.
Ptolemy Soter, that was the father. That was the first Ptolemy. Wasn't he the one that made his son Serapis? He's the one that I remember. Apostle
Oh,
Paul
yeah, I believe so.
went into a video of like basically he had to create a god that was like an Edomite god because the Hamites down there in Egypt, they worship idols, and they turned obviously like their pharaohs into gods.
Right.
So since Ptolemy, that Ptolemaic lineage basically was had jurisdiction over Egypt. That's where Serapis came from.
Serapis came from Egypt, Alexandria.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, it is. Well, it's a precept that ties into that. It was a Solomon for sure. If the brother want to bring it out, that's fine.
All right, so I'm gonna finish.
Contacts.
It says Ptolemy the first Soter reigned 305 to 282 BCE. A general of Alexander the Great and founder of the Ptolemaic dynasty created the god Serapis. He introduced the deity to unite his Greek and Egyptian subjects by blending elements of the Egyptian god Osiris and Apis with Greek deities like Zeus and Hades.
There you go. So it makes sense right around this time that taking place because they were trying to join in unison right there. Yeah. All right. And again, he sent his daughter Berenice to marry Seleucus. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Verse 6. And in the end of years, they shall join themselves together.
And I'm sorry, she was actually given to Antiochus II, Theos, which is the son.
Okay.
Okay.
It says, for the king's daughter of the south shall come to the king of the north to make an agreement.
There you go. So this is through a dispensation of time. All right. Now we're on to the second Ptolemy. I'm sorry, excuse me, not second Ptolemy. The second line of the person in the Seleucid line, Antiochus II. Okay. That's what that unison is coming into play. Yeah. Antiochus II, all right, was set up to marry Berenice Siren. All right.
And just Antiochus Epiphanes, he was the fourth, right?
Yeah, he's the fourth. Okay. He comes later on. He's going to come around like verse 20 and stuff like that. If we able to get there,
Yeah.
No, that's his kinfolk.
Yeah. That's his grandfather.
We getting on his kinfolk.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And in this lesson, it's going to be because a lot of us do know about the Maccabees and such like that. So it's cool history for brothers that don't know to learn what led up to that point of the Maccabees. Yeah. Even in second Maccabees, it's kind of like a precursor or foreshadowing of what led to first Maccabees. Yeah. And even in Maccabees, it's really more than 2 books. Yeah. It's a lot of books, but we have first and second Maccabees. Yeah. But first Maccabees is like 2 or 3 Maccabees, and second Maccabees is like 2 of them. Yeah. So it's like 5 books of Maccabees technically.
Yeah. Yep. It says in the middle of verse 6, it says, but she shall not retain the power of the arm, neither shall he stand, nor his arm, but she shall be given up, and they that brought her, and he that begat her, and he that strengthened her in these times.
Okay, so there's a lot that was said right there. So ultimately what took place here in this point of history is she eventually got. She got killed.
Quick.
Yes, sir.
Salakia. This is definitely one where you want to have a pen and write down these points.
Consequence, that's right.
Into your scriptures, okay? So if you don't have these notes in your Bible, get a pen out and start writing this stuff down, because this is not one that you're going to just be able to recall off memory like that. I mean, unless you're just a beast.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Okay.
You practice,
There's a lot of history here, you know. And the point that was previously made from the previous verse, I was listening, talking about Serapis Christus. You can see how the effect of Hellenization of the Jews and how the infusion of Egyptian and Greek,
absolutely,
Roman culture, led up into what people understand now as Jesus Christ, right? And that heavy influence.
That's
of
right.
mixing all of these different gods, okay? Because when you read in the Maccabees, there's always this talk from the Jews about salvation, because they read Torah scroll, obviously the prophecies of our salvation. So they're linking, who's the God of these Jews? Just as you saw, they linked their Greek gods with the Egyptian gods.
That's right.
What do you think they did with the Hebrews? Same thing. Same thing. Anyway.
Yeah, the water for that point. You know, but yeah, going into this, I want to make mention as well. When Antiochus II married Berenice Syra, that was his second marriage. He already had a wife named Laodicea. All right. And she pretty much wasn't feeling that. She ended up killing Berenice and also eventually killed Antiochus II. Yeah, and their son, because they had a child together, Berenice of Syra and Antiochus, and she killed him too, which eventually moved, all right, the king of Egypt at this time, who was Ptolemy III, all right, the son of Ptolemy II, moved him to wrath, where eventually they fought each other. This is where the conflict in the Syrian wars started taking place. It was all rooted within the death of Ptolemy II's daughter, all right, Ptolemy III's sister, okay? So that was pretty much verse 7. Like I said, there was a lot that was right there that took place, you know, but that was the end of Antiochus II when you read the verse 7 that this brother just read.
No, I just read verse 6.
Oh, that was verse 6. Excuse me. Oh, sorry about that. Well, I kind of jumped a little ahead.
Yeah.
But it's cool, though. It's going to go right into it in verse 7.
All right. All right. Continue on verse 7. It says, but out of a branch of her roots.
Her brother, Ptolemy III. Right. Okay, go ahead.
It says, but out of her roots shall one stand up in his estate, which shall come with an army, and shall enter into the fortress of the king of the north.
Which he was dead at this time, but it was the throne still, pretty much. It was still up there. He invaded, all right, that area, all right? The Seleucid kingdom, he invaded that. He was moved with choler and wrath because his sister got killed, you know, and their child, you know, and there was a breach of an agreement or a covenant that was made, you know, and as I stated earlier, this is Edomite supremacy at its finest. Always some type of covenant, always some type of truce that's being broken, all right, to exert power. And you're going to find that countless times as we're reading this, you know?
Okay. All right. In the middle of verse 7, all right, it says, I'll start at the top. But out of a branch of her roots shall one stand up in his estate, which shall come with an army, and shall enter into the fortress of the king of the north, and shall deal against them, and shall prevail.
There you go. So we went over there, he took mass spoils, brought it back to Egypt. Okay, that's what that's going into. That was the end of verse 7, right?
Con.
All right, now we can get to verse 8.
All right, verse 8 says, and shall also carry captives into Egypt, their gods, which, with their princes, and with their precious vessels of silver and of gold, and he shall continue more years than the king of the north.
All right. Yeah, again, because, you know, he died, you know. Now you have Seleucus II that came into power. All right, so he's the next ruler to come out of the Seleucid line under Antiochus II. Okay, go ahead.
So question, basically when it says the king of the north and the king of the south, that's just talking about the Seleucid and Ptolemaic Empire. In
that particular verse, yes.
Okay, all right. So it says in verse 9, it says, so...
Oh, read verse 8 again?
Okay, kind. This is Daniel 11 and 8. It says, and shall also carry captives into Egypt their gods with their princes and with their precious vessels of silver and of gold, and he shall continue more years than the king of the north.
All right, so Ptolemy III, who was Berenice of Cyrus' brother, all right, came and took spoils from the Seleucid line, from pretty much when they fought against Antiochus. All right, brought those spoils back, you know, and then when it says when he had a longer time than the other, I think it said something along those lines, right?
Yeah. Yep.
What that's going into is Ptolemy III had a longer period of ruling than Seleucid II. All right, Seleucid II only had a very minute time where he ruled, but Ptolemy III had a vast rulership. You know, he ruled for quite some time. Okay.
Okay. It says in verse 9, so the king of the south shall come into his kingdom.
He went back to Egypt is what that's saying.
All right. And shall return into his own land. But his sons shall be stirred up.
Whose sons? Seleucid's sons. All right. Again, this is the Syrian war, so it's always skirmishes back and forth. All right. So now the sons were stirred up, and this son in particular is Seleucus III Cranus. Okay. And Antiochus III. Okay. It was two of them.
I see.
All right. So now we're getting closer to what you made mention earlier, Adna. We're getting we're closer to that vile, nasty Edomite.
Right.
Okay, this is Daddy.
The third Syrian war here.
Yeah, pretty.
Right?
Yeah, I believe pretty much. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And for you brothers and sisters that's listening, just go look up the Syrian Wars on Wikipedia even.
Yep.
And you can follow along. And this shows you how the Bible is superior to any of the books
Absolutely.
on the planet. Because when you understand that this was written during the time of the Babylonian Empire, you get to see the strength of the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua for the word to come to Daniel and give him the breakdown.
That's right. That's right.
Right? You know, it might have been at the top of the Persian Empire when this was written. I can't remember.
Yeah. Regardless, it was still a long time. Yeah.
Before,
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
hundreds of years before, you had the Greeks do this.
That's right. That's right.
And even Edomite Bible scholar will recognize Daniel the 11th chapter as pure prophetic speech.
That's right.
That breaks down the Syrian wars piece by piece
Literally to the T.
to the T-bone.
Yeah.
You got it, bro.
God, that's right. That's right. Cool. So we can go back to verse 10.
Okay.
You can start from the top again.
Yeah, I'm gonna read
That's
it.
why listeners just listen slowly. This is one of those lessons where you write stuff down.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a few times when we go back to the beginning of the verse so we can deconstruct it and break it down. You got it.
Okay. All right. It says, but his sons shall be stirred up, and shall assemble a multitude of great forces, and one shall certainly come and overflow and pass through.
All right. So again, these sons that were stirred up are Seleucus III Cranus and Antiochus III. I'm sorry. Yeah, Antiochus III or Antiochus the Great.
Okay.
All right. He's called Antiochus the Great. All right. Now, when you look at it, because these are two sons, but it was Antiochus III that eventually was the king, you know, that's because his brother died. And he had a very short time where he was ruling. It was only like, a few years.
Right.
I even got it written down. He was assassinated in Persia while campaigning against Pergamum. It says, during this time, officers Nicanor and Apatarius killed him. And he was succeeded by Antiochus III. And again, he only reigned 2 years and died. Okay. Also,
Antiochus is the fourth one?
no, the third.
Antiochus is the third.
Yeah, it's still Antiochus, because remember the fourth is Epiphanes.
Right. So you got Seleucus the third and Antiochus the third.
It's a lot of numbers tied to these names.
No, I just want to double check. Because obviously I got to go back and go into history too. But okay, so you had Seleucus and Antiochus. That lineage was basically both under the Seleucid Empire.
Yeah, that was all under the Seleucid line.
The family of Antiochus were underneath the general Seleucus, so they're all in the king of the north.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah,
All right.
He's Seleucus' grandson.
Antiochus, Antiochus, the middle tomato.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that's why you read it in Maccabees where it goes into a wicked root that came out of the Seleucid line.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It says out of that came a wicked root.
Okay.
You know, so he's Seleucus' great, you know what I'm saying, grandson.
Right. That makes sense.
All right. And just to add, you know, pretty much toward the latter end of that verse, because you read the whole verse 10, right? Or is there more to it?
No, I read all of it.
Okay, cool. So to end off on that verse there, he also gathered a large army and pushed aggressively against the king of the south, or the king of Egypt. All right, who again is Ptolemy III. Okay, that's what verse 10 is going into.
Okay.
All right.
All right. It says, and one shall certainly come and overflow and pass through. Then shall he return and be stirred up even to his fortress.
All right, got you. Now, again, it's a little more history that passed by. Now we're into the time of Ptolemy IV. All right, so Ptolemy IV is in play, but it's still Antiochus III that's in power. All right, it's still going into the Syrian wars. And what this is going into pretty much is Ptolemy, he gathers another great army as well. And he goes to fight against Antiochus III, and he actually wins this battle. All right, in this particular battle, it's called the Battle of Raphia. All right. So in the Battle of Raphia, okay, Salakia, Antiochus wins. All right. And you're going to start to notice, all right, the Ptolemaic Empire starts to win more, but then it's going to segue into the Seleucid line winning more of those wars. Okay. It's like the pretty much Ptolemaic line gets whack as hell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But we're gonna go into that, Lord willing, we get there.
Okay. So you had basically Antiochus the third versus Ptolemy the 4th. Okay.
Yeah, they both gathered great armies together, but this particular battle of pretty much verse 11 is going into the battle of Raphia.
Okay.
All right, where Ptolemy lost. The king of the south lost that battle.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Was that the whole verse 11?
Yeah, I'm gonna read it now.
Con.
Verse 11 says, "And the king of the south shall be moved with choler, and shall come forth and fight with him, even with the king of the north. And he shall set forth a great multitude, but the multitude shall be given into his hand."
Salakia, it was Ptolemy that won the battle of Raphia. All right, because he was moved with that great choler. Forgive me, y'all. Salakia, it's a lot of information. But it was Ptolemy that won this. He was moved with that great choler. That choler led him to winning this battle of Raphia. Okay, Salakia.
All right, it says, all right, verse 12. "And when he hath taken away the multitude,"
Defeats Antiochus the third. All right.
it says, "his heart shall be lifted up, and he shall cast down many 10,000s."
There you go. His heart was lifted up, meaning he got prideful afterward. He got puffed up because they won that battle and stuff. Feel like can't nobody stop him. He was the king of the world at that moment. All right.
So this is what, and this is the question. So this is whenever he's going into whenever Rome starts.
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
All right. And
Read it again.
verse 12. It says, "And when he hath taken away the multitude, his heart shall be lifted up, and he shall cast down many 10,000s, but he shall not be strengthened by it."
All right. So, in a nutshell, he becomes more corrupt than he was because of those battles. Winning those battles means you got more monetary gain because now you got spoils and shit, so he got puffed up and indulgent. And with that mentality, all right, he doesn't build or strengthen his rule more like a wise king would do. All right. But he uses his money and all the riches impudently. Okay. And his kingdom eventually is weakened over time in spite of that win. Okay. You got something you're gonna say?
No. I'm looking up how to spell. I'm taking notes. I'm trying to make sure I spell this right on my.
No, I got you. It's a lot. That's why we're probably not gonna get through the whole chapter.
Yeah.
We're not gonna get through the whole chapter. I'm gonna let y'all know that right now.
Yeah.
Like 6 wars.
Exactly. It's a lot going on. And then brothers bring out points. We got precepts, but I plan on doing a second part in my own, just doing a lesson on that.
This kind of reminds me when we was doing. We just did 2nd Ezra 11. It took us 3 whole hour-long lessons just to break down that one chapter.
It's a lot, bro.
So yeah. It says in verse 13.
All right, and keep the water for doing that. Every time you get to a verse, announce it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The water for that.
Daniel 11 and 13. It says, "For the king of the north shall return, and shall set forth a multitude greater than the former."
All right, so this is Antiochus the third. All right, he regrouped after losing Raphia. He came back and built up a bigger army. All right, and this is after time, because again, these are multiple wars and battles that it's going into.
Man, go and research these wars. It's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, the brother's going over it because it's a class session. But you can go and individually study each Syrian war.
Yeah.
Okay, don't be lazy-minded.
Yep.
He's giving you the rough shot, but go study it. Okay, so you understand the dynamics of this period of time. You have to remember that the Israelites was mixed up in all this shit.
They were caught in the middle.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on the fact that the Israelites were mixed up in all this shit that's going on.
That's right. That's right.
Okay? Different political arrangements, wars happening, they need money, trying to expand their kingdom, everything like this. So when you skip over to Maccabees, it kind of cuts from Alexander. He died. Then it kind of cuts all the way to the 4th Syrian War.
Yeah, it does.
Real quick.
By verse 11, it's already to that point.
You see what I'm saying? So it's a time period in there where
Absolutely.
the Israelites are still there.
Yep,
Going through
yep.
shit.
Yep.
Okay?
Absolutely.
And shit, yeah.
So you got a champ.
Can I say one thing? Everything y'all saying, man, y'all in the spirit, man. But I gotta say something. One thing I want to say. I just want to throw this in there. Look, man, you brothers, man, all of y'all, man, me and the Apostle Ron, I was just talking, you brothers are a blessing. Y'all are a fucking blessing, man. Sometimes I gotta say what I gotta say. You know, I don't mean to impede upon you brothers. Y'all got it, man. You cats got it, man. I told you this. Y'all blessing. You dudes are blessing, man. You brothers, man, are beautiful, man. Like, hey, man, we almost out of here. We gotta get out of here, man. We really do. We got to get the fuck out of here. Y'all dig? Man, I talked to Apostle Tahar yesterday. And he said, man, we got to get out of here. The elder Yashawamba, we got to get out of here.
It's coming.
That's it.
It's coming.
We got to get out of here. That's the bottom line. We got to get out of here. Because if not, ain't none of us going to survive. Right. What's that scripture? If the Lord had not cut the time short, there will be no flesh left to save. We all be dead, motherfuckers. And you know what? I'm cool with that. I'm not gonna live in this world, bro. I ain't dealing with this, man. Fuck this. Ain't nothing going on out here, man. Come on, y'all brothers know. So that's the thing. We gotta get out of here. So we gotta keep thinking about scriptures. Amos 9:8. The eyes of the Lord are upon the simple kingdom, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth. Saving that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, the Iqua. So these niggas in, man, Jake is out there, bro. Jake is out there, right? And their attitude is like, they think they're just gonna continue doing what they're gonna do. That's Jake. And then Esau is a whole nother. Esau ain't going nowhere. This fucking, he ain't going nowhere, Ariana.
His job.
He doing what he's supposed to do. Like Apostle Tahar, I told him, he's like, man, I'm with Trump. I'm down with Trump. Because he's the devil that's going to get us out of here.
Yeah.
You understand? He gonna get us out of there. Because he fucking with Iran, man, we already in World War III. So that's that. So you brothers, man, you gotta pray for destruction. Remember the angels of Yahweh Shai that's holding back those angels of destruction, and he's starting to release them. So we in that time. All the other little bullshit, we gotta let it go. And I'm gonna say this too. Amongst each other, us, the brothers, look, man, we gotta be brothers with each other, man. Y'all dig? We gotta be brothers, man. Fuck all the bullshit, man. Fuck this shit, man. Y'all hear me? Just be brothers, man. Like, bro, we gonna get on each other's nerves. You know, I'm gonna get on your nerves, you're gonna get on my nerves. But bro, that's some simple shit, man. We gotta, Yahweh Shai said, how many times shall I forgive my brother? You brothers really gotta get into the spirit of Yahweh Shai, man. You dig? You think the 12 disciples didn't get on Yahweh Shai's nerves? It is what it is, bro. I love you guys though, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna tell y'all all something, man. Man, you be around people in the world, but when I come amongst you guys, when I'm around you dudes, I mean, you might be mad at me, I might be mad, whatever. But I know, man, bro, I can leave my wallet sitting out there with $100 and I pass out on that couch. And I know that shit gonna be there when I wake up in the morning. Am I lying?
Oh, that's facts.
Like, for real. Many, and I've done that here in this fucking house. Okay, I passed out right there on that couch right there. And I don't care about the scoffers. Bro, come on, I'm talking right now. I done passed out on that goddamn couch where those two officers, brothers are sitting, and left my wallet, my keys to my truck, all that shit right there on that little, what do y'all call that?
It's an ottoman right there.
Whatever. Left the shit sitting there.
See, light-skinned person.
Passed out. Wake up in the morning, my shit is right there, and there's brothers all in the house. But I do that because I know I'm amongst brothers.
Yep.
I love you guys. You got some scriptures?
Yeah, I got precept.
Read it, man.
All right, this is Psalms 133.
I'm sorry, Shaw. Your video, who video is this?
Yeah, I'm just trying to go on Daniel 11.
I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry. Shaw, look at me, man.
Yeah, come.
Look at me, man.
Kind of possible,
I'm
so
sorry
good.
to impede upon your video.
It's cool.
But
If it-
sometimes
It's cool. It's cool. I just hope we can get back to it afterwards soon.
We gonna.
For sure.
And to be honest,
We
this
gonna,
is
man. Don't get mad at me. Hold on. Don't get mad at me.
I'm not mad at you, Apostle.
Don't get mad at me. Man.
Nah, it's just a lot. It's a lot to it trying to get through it. That's all.
No, we gonna get into it, dude. But
for
you gotta
sure.
roll in the spirit.
Yeah, it's all good.
Come,
You gotta
come.
roll in the spirit. Don't beat me up, man.
It's all good.
Don't beat me up, man. Shaw, man. All right.
No, it's cool.
You gotta roll. Shaw, look at me.
Yeah, I got you, Apostle.
Look at me, for real.
I'm looking at you.
You gotta learn to roll in the spirit sometimes.
Come.
You dig?
Yeah, I got you.
You gotta learn to roll in the spirit, brother.
Come, for sure.
I dig. I know. See, and I love you for that, man. You know, we taught you to be.
Yeah. I just don't want to lose track of, you know what I'm saying, whatever. It's a lot, you
You're not
know.
gonna lose track.
Come.
But listen to me. Look at me, man.
I got you.
Roll in the spirit, man. Roll. Like, oh man, the elder Ariella told me the same thing. I know your spirit. Your spirit is similar to mine. The elder Ariella, like sometimes it's hard to let go. It's hard to, yeah. And this man told me, your elder, Ariella, like sometimes you gotta learn to let go of certain things. You hear me? I dig, because I'm the same as you. You understand? Sometimes
Come, Apostle.
you gotta learn to let go. And no, we're gonna get back. We got time, bro. We ain't going nowhere. We're gonna get back into your lesson. You dig?
Hit the water,
But
hit the water.
I want you to understand that. Sometimes you gotta roll in the spirit and we're gonna levitate right back to where we need to be, but sometimes the spirit, cause like, bro, I feel it. Right now, yeah, I'm going through some personal shit right now, but it's cool. I'll deal with that. But sometimes the spirit, you know, with brothers, with edification and, you know what I mean? Edification and different things that brothers need to hear. But prophecy is the main thing.
For sure.
Back.
For sure.
What was we talking about?
Psalms 1.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Yeah, this is Psalms 133, verse 1. It says, a song of degrees of David. Behold, how good and how pleasant is it for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, that went down to the skirts of his garments. Because you were going into how basically, you know, this truth that we have, you know, is a precious thing. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we're grateful to have the body. That's our consolation here on this side. Us being able to get together and, you know, fellowship in the spirit, be in the spirit, you know, have these, you know, spiritual conversations. You know, the scriptures talk about they that fear the Lord spake often one to another.
It's going to be a hedge of protection in the time to come.
Come.
Just as we're reading about here, as far as we're going over Daniel 11 and the Syrian wars, and we just mentioned how we're reading in Daniel 11 what's happening amongst the Edomites and how they're fighting amongst themselves.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
But we were still there.
Right.
And the same brotherhood that was necessary in order for Israel to thrive is going to be the same type of spirit that we're going to need to thrive in this time.
Right.
So you know what the apostle was saying is, you have these Edomites and these heathen nations, Og, fighting amongst themselves, but meanwhile, the Most High is building up His nation in the background.
Right, right.
Their background.
Right?
See, Shah, Elder Ari, well, realistically, Elder Ariana has broke it down. That's cool. We know the prophecies, and we know what's going on. But then, how you gonna deal? How are we gonna deal when the prophecies come down?
Right.
You understand? Yo, see, yo, bro. Yeah, the prophecies. Apostle Ryan, come here, please. We could deal, right? We know the prophecies, but then when the shit go down, what the fuck? How we gonna react amongst each other? It's beautiful.
Right.
I know it's important, but bro, you gotta know other shit too. You gotta know how to deal, man.
That's right.
Am I right, Apostle, man?
Hey, well, I think somebody read it, right? Psalms 133. Yeah, how beautiful it is when brothers, dwell together in unity. So it is, that's what it's all about, because at the end of the day, you can know all the prophecies in the book, but if you don't have that brotherly love, that's pretty much what cements everything,
No, we taught you brothers everything we knew, bro. We told you everything we knew. And the prophecies are important. We told you brothers everything we had. We gave y'all everything we had, and it's important. But then brothers, y'all gotta, like King Mashah said to us, man. He said, yeah, brothers, a lot of times they got a scripture. But the guy I'm looking at is the guy that applies that scripture. Y'all dig? Little things like that. And then brothers always talking shit about King Mashah didn't know the scriptures, right? Y'all dig? Hey, brother, I always paid attention to the little things, man. Y'all understand? If I could drop dead tonight, tomorrow, one thing I want y'all to remember, pay attention to the little things, man. It's beautiful. You're going into a lesson, that's cool, but sometimes the spirit takes precedence, man. Y'all understand?
That's right.
And I learned that from Apostle Tahar, man. Do y'all understand me for real? I know you brothers are amped up and y'all fired up and y'all want to go and it's beautiful. But y'all heard Apostle the Ramblin, man, sometimes y'all gotta, sometimes the spirit deals, man. It's not all about just, when I had to learn this shit the hard way. You dig? Like, you got to learn the deal. You can know everything, man. How many niggas that was amongst us that they knew all the, but then them niggas would wear their head down. Right? Y'all dig? So understand what I'm saying. And fuck me, man. I don't even know if I'm gonna be alive. Bro. I really don't. And you know what? I really don't care. I really don't care, man. I love you brothers, man. I love you cats. And my thing is, I'm just trying to, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I do know. I'm trying to impart some shit to you guys while I'm here on the earth. Y'all understand what I'm saying, man? That's all. Sure. I know you on fire, man. And I'm not trying to impede your lesson, but Spirit is on me to just say what I gotta say.
Kind of possible.
I'm not trying to interrupt your lesson, and you gonna continue. But Spirit, y'all can hear what I'm saying, or you don't gotta hear what I'm saying. You dig? This much I know. I don't want to be proud, but I know I'm a prophet. The Lord set me up to be a prophet and say what I got to say. the prophets wasn't always liked. So I just saying what I gotta say.
Kind of us.
That's all I'm saying. I want you brothers to understand that I love you guys, man. I have a natural affection for all you brothers, man. That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? No, for real, man. I have a natural affection for you guys, man. Y'all hear me, man? I really do.
Kind of us.
Like, I love you dudes, man. Like, you're my sons or you're my brothers. Like, I fucking love you guys, man. I do, man. That's why, man, when I see you brothers, man, man, I love the fuck out you guys, man. I trust you guys in my fucking life. You understand? I do. I trust you motherfuckers with my goddamn life. Like, that's all I can say. But read that, man.
Yeah, come. All right, this is 1 Corinthians 13 and 2. It said
one, Baba Kushai.
I thought
going to pull that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 1 Corinthians 13 and 1. It says, though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels and have not charity.
Now, charity, that word agape, brotherly love, the way we deal with one another, the heart that we have towards one another, the expression that the apostle just gave was an expression of agape love, brotherly love, right? The natural affection. Go ahead.
Yep. It says, and have not charity, I am become as sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal.
So if you can speak all the languages in the world, but if it's not fueled with brotherly love or agape love, then it's just noise.
Yeah.
So you can be talking all these prophecies, and the next the next verse is about to get into that. Matter of fact, go ahead and read it.
Verse 2, it says, and though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith.
So we're having a brotherly love intermission in this Daniel's 11 lesson. And what's funny, I'm going to bring this up just for the sake of edification. When you go and watch the videos of the apostles breaking down the book of Revelation, the book of Genesis, and it's a 48-part series, you're going to get the breakdown. But in the midst of that breakdown, there's going to be a lot of directions that the lesson goes, right? So yeah, we're going through Daniel the 11th chapter right now, but then right now we're having an agape moment. So brought to you by agape.
Right.
Wow. So it's a commercial.
Yeah, intermission. Yeah.
So everybody take a deep breath. We're gonna get back to it. So the Levites are going crazy right now. Listen.
All right.
No, man. Go ahead. Read verse 2 again.
Yeah. That's 1 Corinthians 13 and 2. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains and have not charity.
Those are all good things, but if you don't have charity, go ahead.
I am nothing.
It's empty. It's void. It's lacking. It's wanting.
Yeah.
So so it's okay to have an agape commercial in the midst of the lesson, okay? Because all of this stuff is edifying. We're going to continue to edify, and it'll come in different directions. Okay. Is there more on that you want to read?
No, that was it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, let's get back to Daniel 11 and 14. Baba Gashar, and start from the top.
This is back in Daniel 11, verse 14. It says, and in those times there shall many stand up against the king of the south.
So there were many nations and groups that rose up, not even just the Seleucid, but many nations and groups that rose up to fight against the king of the south. All right, or Ptolemy. Okay.
It says, it says, also the robbers of thy people shall, that's what it says, the robbers of thy people shall exalt themselves to establish the vision, but they shall fail.
Now, right there,
they shall fall. Salaki.
Yeah, I saw good. Right there, that's pretty much the seed being planted of which there was always wicked Jake that was around. But once you start to read about, wicked men of Israel that pretty much made a covenant with the Seleucid line, you can see it even take place right here.
Yeah.
All right. Now, what you read about in Maccabees, we haven't got yet to that point, but it's going into Israelites who were Hellenized pretty much, that pretty much tried to further their own will.
Lewd men
You know,
with the baser sword.
exactly, of the circumcision.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. This is Daniel 11 and 15. So the king of the north,
You said what verse you on?
verse 15.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm if I may, I'm gonna just read or say what I just got written down real quick as well pertaining to those cats. So pretty much these Israelites joined Antioch to pretty much fight against Ptolemy V. All right, so this is Ptolemy V that is going into, and they were fighting against Ptolemy V, hoping to advance their own agenda. You know, you kind of see Israelite groups that are doing that stuff right now, joining league with the Edomite system. You know, not even just, you know, like the 501c3s and such. You know, you got many other examples, but it was always Israelites that wanted to join themselves with Esau for their own thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For sure.
And just to clarify, you said they joined up with who?
Pretty much what
The
they,
Seleucid?
yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely, yeah, because they joined to fight against Ptolemy V.
Right.
You know, because it says many nations rose up against the fight against the king of the south.
King of the South,
You know,
right.
so you even have Israelites within that cluster that joined league wanted to fight against them.
Yeah, that makes
You know,
sense.
for sure.
Because ultimately the Seleucid Empire encompassed Judea.
Right.
If I'm not.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Now you had Israelites that was in Ptolemy's army as well, because you had a lot of Israelites that dwelt in parts of Alexandria and in parts of Egypt. So you had Israelites that was everywhere, but it's going into pretty much Israelites that were in the land, still able to do what they had to do. You know, these Israelites rose up and joined league.
All right.
Cool. Verse 15, right?
Yes, sir. All right. Daniel 11:15. It says, "So the king of the north shall come and cast up a mount and take the most fenced cities, and the arms of the south shall not withstand." All right.
That was verse. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Neither shall his chosen people, neither shall there be any strength to withstand.
All right. So now we're getting into the point where the Ptolemaic line, all right, not even just the line, but that empire was starting to cripple and weaken. Because remember earlier, it went into the pride that they got after the Battle of Raphia and such. And, you know, like I stated earlier in this lesson before brothers got up in here, once you look at how Edomites are moving back then, all right, how they were breaking covenants, how they got puffed up off winning certain battles and such like that, they in that same spirit right now. You know, when Donald Trump shot the missiles on Iran to hit them nuclear facilities last year and such, he got very puffed up and tried to do it again, thinking shit was going to go the same way. You know, you have many examples of what was taking place back then, and you see it taking place right now. That's why in the beginning of this lesson, I started with Ecclesiastes. The thing that has been is that which shall be. All right, this was a crucial time of war back then, and we're entering into a crucial time of war right now. Okay.
All right. It says, verse 16.
15 again.
All right. This is Daniel 11 and 15 from the top. "So the king of the north shall come and cast up a mount and take the most fenced cities, and the arms of the south shall not withstand."
All right, there you go. So as the South got weaker, as Egypt got weaker, all right, this Seleucid line got stronger, where they actually made sieges against those fortified cities, and they won those battles. All right, so that's what that's going into. All right, when it says they actually counted up mounts and such, this is a siege, you know, building ramps, engines of war to break those fortified cities and eventually capture them. All right, and Egypt's military couldn't do anything to stop it, which led to a total military collapse. You know, that's what this is going into right here in verse 15. Okay. And again, that's why I wanted to go into Daniel 11, because there's a lot prophetically, and it did come to pass. But again, you see a lot of that taking place right now when you look at how these rulers, these Edomite rulers, are fighting one another. You know what I'm saying? The beast, the whore, you know, all Edomite rulers fighting against each other in conflict. You know, one trying to one up the next. That's why you read it in books like Revelation 6, where it tells you the red horse will fight against each other. This is Edomite nature. You know, when it says rule with the sword, that includes his own self too. Killing each other with the sword, that includes himself as well. You got something you gonna say?
Yeah, I was gonna say making pacts with each other and then going to war with each other the next year. You know, the next generation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's how he operated.
Yeah, back in ancient Rome, you had 1 year where it was 4 different emperors that ruled, bro. That's a lot. One of them emperors being a Jake, but it's still, you know, through Edomite supremacy, there's never any type of unity with that. You know, it was Edomite supremacy. Would you say, Zaquan?
Yeah, they just getting smacked.
All right, continuing on in Daniel 11 In the middle of verse 15, it says, and the arms of the south.
And we'll get to 20.
Okay.
You know, and we'll end it off on 20. I know there's a lot.
Yeah.
You know, we'll end it off on 20. Lord's will I continue a lesson,
Yeah.
you know, going after
That's
that.
a good midway point. All right, it says in the middle of verse 15, and the arms of the south shall not withstand, neither his chosen people.
There you go, the arms of the south, the armies. That's where you get the word army from. It comes from arm.
Right.
All right, so it's saying the army wasn't going to do shit. Shalom, Warga. My man.
All right, it says, neither his chosen people, neither shall there be any strength to withstand.
His chosen people. That's going into the different aristocrats and nobles and select men of war. You know what I'm saying? They didn't even do anything to help. They couldn't. They was through.
All right, it says verse 16, but he that cometh against him shall do according to his own will.
So he's puffed up now. His own will. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody gonna put him in check now because he done took down the top niggas. The Ptolemy line, you know, that empire is falling now. The Seleucid Empire is on the rise. Antiochus III. This is still Antiochus III we reading about. This is son's father. That wicked, nasty nigga's father. So you see where that spirit come from. So we got very puffed up after this, you know, and again, no army could stop him at this point. All right, go ahead.
All right, it says, but he that cometh against him shall do according to his own will, and none shall stand before him, and he shall stand in the glorious land, which by his hand shall be consumed.
All right, now that glorious land, Elder Ariala just went into that, how we were always in the midst of that. We were always right there, and we were kind of used now to this point as an area where they would take their anger out on us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it said he would come up to the glorious land, which again, you know, he controlled it. I'm going to even actually read what I got written down. But the glorious land is Israel, which was eventually affected, controlled, and caught in the middle of his campaign. This is the point where Antiochus III pretty much took over our land. All right, so now we're converging. We're still not Hellenized in a sense because the world's Hellenized and we were still able to do what we had to do. But it's getting to the point where now they're starting to try to Hellenize us. And they started that by occupying our territory. Because before they didn't occupy, we were still sovereign, for lack of better words. But now it's getting to the point where that transition is taking place. That makes sense so far. Cool, for sure.
All right, verse 17, he shall also set his face to enter with strength, with the strength of his whole kingdom.
So going to enter into Egypt, all right, remember the Syrian wars. So Antiochus III is going back into Egypt to fight against Ptolemy V. Okay, you got it.
All right, I'll start at 17 to the top. He shall also set his face to enter with strength, with the strength of his whole kingdom, and upright ones with him.
Those upright ones is talking about our lords, aristocrats, you know, captains of war. You know, that's what that's going into.
Okay. All right, it says, thus shall he do, and he shall give him the daughter of women, corrupting her. But she shall not stand on his side, neither be for him.
All right. So we obviously understand one of the ways that nations would join together and make a pact. It would be through marriage. All right. So in this time, Antiochus III sent his daughter Cleopatra, Syra, out there to marry Ptolemy V. All right. But the thing about it is, you know, ultimately he set it up not for a good thing, but to pretty much get some inward information on what's going on, pretty much to get her to feed him information on what's taking place. All right. But ultimately, when you go into that history, she wasn't even fucking with Antiochus III, her own daddy, to the point where she even betrayed her family and joined league officially with Ptolemy right there.
Damn.
So, yeah, read it again. Baba Kashaw.
All right. All right, it says verse 17, Daniel 11 and 17. He shall also set his face to enter with the strength of his whole kingdom, and upright ones with him. Thus shall he do.
So this wasn't for battle or war or anything. This is a negotiation right here. This is a so-called peace treaty, peace deal.
Yeah.
You know, like nations would come together and negotiate and discuss things.
Yeah.
So this wasn't warfare right here. This is a different way that they were trying to join forces together again. But it didn't work out because it's Edomite supremacy. You got it.
All right, it says, and he shall give him the daughter of women, corrupting her, but she shall not stand on his side, neither be for him.
There you go. That's why I said she shall not stand on his side, neither be for him, because she joined league with Ptolemy V, and she was with Ptolemy V. She wasn't with her own dad. So he sent his daughter in there to pretty much spy out and get information. He sent his daughter in there as a war strategy, and it didn't work in his favor. Okay? You got it, bro.
All right. It says, verse 18, after this shall he turn his face unto the isles, and shall take many. But a prince for his own behalf shall cause the reproach offered by him to cease. Without his own reproach, he shall cause it to turn upon him.
All right. So there's a lot that takes place right here within this history. So instead of his attention being on Egypt now, he set his attention toward, like it said, I think it said the Isles or something like that, or the coasts.
Yeah, it says, but he shall, he shall turn his face unto the isles.
All right.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much going into, Mediterranean regions like Asia Minor, those Greek areas, and they were successful. But in the midst of doing that, it makes mention of a prince that shall cause the reproach to cease. Now, that prince that it's talking about is the Roman general, Lucius Cornelius Scipio Asiaticus. All right. A lot of times, he like, for example, African, Leo Scipio Africanus. This is his brother.
This is during what's the name war? The Punic Wars then?
You know what, actually? It is right around this. This is actually a little bit before the Punic War. Well, no, technically during it, because the third Punic War is about 50 years after. So
Hannibal and shit, right?
Hannibal was a little after.
Okay.
He was a little afterward, but this is still around that time period.
Okay, because I remember that names. I was just watching the video on YouTube today, Scipio Africanus during the Punic Wars.
No, this is because there were multiple Punic Wars,
Right.
but the one with Hannibal Barker, I believe, was the third Punic War.
Okay.
Was a little afterward, but still, this is around the time of the Punic Wars. You're right.
Yeah, which was between the Roman Republic.
There you go.
Was in Northern Africa.
There you go. And it's beautiful that was mentioned, because now Rome is being brought up. Because when it makes mention of this prince that came, when he took over the Isles and such like that, Rome came pretty much and said, what the fuck y'all doing? Yeah. Okay, y'all got all these riches. Give me this bread now. Now y'all gonna have to be tributary under us. Yeah. Read it again.
Yeah. Okay. All right. This is Daniel 11 and verse 18 again. It says, after this shall he turn his face unto the isles, and shall take many. All right, but a prince for his own behalf shall cause the reproach offered by him to cease. Without his own reproach, he shall cause it to turn upon him.
And it wasn't even just Asiaticus, it was also his brother Africanus. Both of them fought against them. Both of them got led in. Well, pretty much they led their troops in the battle against them, and they won. They took it. I even got it written down. A Roman general and consul who led Roman forces alongside his famous brother Scipio Africanus to victory against Antiochus. All right, Antiochus III. And this is the Battle of Magnesia. Okay.
Can you pronounce his name one more time? The prince.
Stop at verse 36 and then 2.2 next week.
Okay, I don't even know if I went to verse 30.
Where you at?
Can we stop at 30 instead? Yeah, that's fine. Cool. That's a bet. Yeah, that's a bet. We'll stop at 30. Yeah, that's cool.
Are you available next week to teach?
Shit, I'll teach next week. I ain't tripping.
Did they do a part 2?
Yeah, that's fine. If brothers is cool with it, you know what I'm saying? But I'm with it. I'm fine with that. Because I was going to end it off at like 20 something, but we can go to 30. That's fine.
Yeah, but the people listening don't want to hear the rest of it.
Okay. Cool. That's a bet. We'll do that. So we'll stop at 30 and continue on the rest of it next week, Lord will. All right. Come.
Yeah, what was the name of the prince again?
Oh, the prince is pretty much Asiaticus. I can give you the whole name. The whole name is Lucius Cornelius Scipio Asiaticus, and his brother is Leo Scipio Africanus.
Okay.
The famous word Africa, you know what I'm saying? The famous word Asia, come from them two motherfuckers who are brothers, but they're Romans though. So they weren't Greeks. But again, like you said, the Roman Republic was prominent at this time. And as we read further, it's going to further show the prominence that they had to the point where even the Seleucid line was in check. Mind you, again, they beat them in battle right here. He had all this fame, all this status. He came from the victory over Egypt and everything, just made a deal lost in that deal pretty much because his daughter went with him. But he went over there and took over and conquered more lands. He was successful with that. Just right afterward, he was shut down. You know? You got it.
All right.
And it's like I was going to say, it's beautiful, too, how the Lord works. Because that same pressure he was putting on those nations, those different coasts, that same pressure was brought to him by other Edomites that were Romans. You know, which they could have been Etruscans at this time, for real. But regardless, that same pressure they was given, they got it in return. You know?
Right.
You got it now.
All right. Continuing on here.
Matter of fact, can the brother hold First Maccabees 8 and start at 17, Baba Kashaw? We'll read it down quick. Because this account right here, I'm sorry, Second Maccabees 8. But this is going into a point where, you know, it's a little later on, but just it makes mentions of the Romans and how they had that influence and how we actually went to them to get refuge and help from them. All right, but it's just going to go into this very briefly in 2 Maccabees 8.
So 2 Maccabees 8 what?
You can start at verse... Salakia. Let's start at verse 17.
I'm sorry, 16.
Come on, that's cool.
It says, so Maccabeus called his men together unto the number of 6,000 and exhorted them not to be stricken with terror of the enemy, nor to fear the great multitude of the heathen who came wrongfully against them, but to fight manfully, and to set before their eyes the injury that they had unjustly done to the holy place, and the cruel handling of the city, whereof they made a mockery, and also the taking away of the government of their forefathers.
And again, this is in the future after what we're reading about, but it's going to make mention the Romans' influence right here, which is why I wanted it brought out.
It says, for they said, trust in their weapons and boldness. But our confidence is in the almighty power, who at a bet can cast down both them that come against us and also all the world.
I'm sorry. Is that second? I'm sorry, brother. First Maccabees 8. Excuse me.
First Maccabees 8 does
Yeah.
go into the...
my fault.
The treaty.
Yeah, it's First Maccabees 8. I said the wrong number.
First Maccabees chapter 8.
It's a lot, bro. Start at 17.
It says, First Maccabees 8 and 17, it says, in consideration of these things, Judas chose Ptolemus, the son of John, the son of Echos, and Jason, the son of Eleazar, and sent them to Rome to make a league of enmity and confederacy with them, and to entreat them that they would take the yoke from them.
There you go. So they went over to Rome like, shit, help. We already know y'all history. We know how y'all put their asses down before. They knew that history, which is why they went over there, because this is when Rome is republic, but shortly after this, it turned into an empire. You know, you got it.
It says, and to entreat them that they would take the yoke from them. For they saw that the kingdom of the Grecians did oppress Israel with servitude. They went therefore to Rome, which was a very great journey, and came into the Senate, where they spake and said, Judas Maccabeus with his brethren and the people of the Jews have sent us unto you to make a confederacy and peace with you, and that we might be registered your confederates and friends. So that matter pleased the Romans well. And this is the copy of the epistle which the Senate wrote back again in tables and brass.
And you know, that's pretty much the point on that one. Pretty much what the brothers reading about is an agreement that they made. Whoever had beef, they would come to each other's aid. Yep. That's what that's going into. But I wanted to bring that up just to go into how the influence of Rome was known. And we eventually looked to get aid from the Romans. Yep. You know what I'm saying? You know, so Rome was owned around this time, which is why I wanted that precept brought out. Yep. Okay? Yep. You got it now.
Yep. All right, going back to Daniel 11 and verse 19. All right, it says, then he shall turn his face toward the fort of his own land.
So he went home to regroup.
All right, it says, but he shall stumble and fall and not be found.
Yeah, and the thing about that, because once the Romans pretty much said run that, they had to be tributary under Rome. And Antiochus III, this is still Antiochus III, him being as proud as he is, he wasn't feeling that, but it wasn't that he can do about it. You know, so pretty much there was more taxing that took place to pay the Romans and such. And it got to the point of desperation where he was actually sacking temples left and right to get the money and the status, the stuff that's in the temple. You know, but one of them temples he went to sack, the people in that region weren't feeling that, and they ended up killing him. You know, so he was being thirsty for that bread and stuff like that to pay the Romans, and people actually made an insurrection against them and fought against them and actually had them killed. You know, so it's a lot, you know.
Okay. Verse 20 says, then shall stand up in his estate a raiser of taxes in the glory of the kingdom.
All right, so this raiser of taxes is the first son of Antiochus III, whose name is Seleucus. All right, it's Seleucus the fourth.
Yeah.
Okay, so you see how they keep, that's a line, so they're going to keep recycling those names and such like that. So this is the brother of Antiochus Epiphanes. All right, and it makes mention of the taxes. You just read something about taxes, right?
Yeah, raiser of taxes. Yeah.
Raiser of taxes. Now, the reason why he had to raise those taxes is because the Romans needed that bread. So now Rome was involved, and he got to go above and beyond just to get the Romans their bread. Go ahead.
All right, it says, verse 20, then shall stand up in his estate a raiser of taxes in the glory of the kingdom, but within few days he shall be destroyed, neither in anger nor in battle.
If I just may say, go ahead.
No, that's it. That's all the end of the verse.
Yeah, and that ties up with 2 Maccabees, the third chapter.
There you go.
Seleucus and then Heliodorus. Heliodorus Jack.
Well, hold it, Baba Kashaw, because I was going to go, because, Heliodorus, that's all good. Heliodorus was the one that killed him. He actually poisoned him. But you can read about Heliodorus as his brother's getting ready to read about Heliodorus right here. Because there's going to be a few precepts in 2 Maccabees that's going to be brought up. 2 Maccabees 3rd, 2 Maccabees 4. But it makes mention of this Heliodorus that actually had him killed. Okay, so this Seleucus right here, his main priority wasn't warfare like his predecessors or anything like that. He was good with money. You know what I'm saying? He was one of those different kings that was good with finances and money and such like that. So he was that type of king. All right, where eventually those people that were with him wasn't really feeling what he was doing with that money, because this Edomite supremacy we're talking about. So eventually his boy killed him. You got it, Tazama.
I'm going to start at verse 2 Maccabees 3. I'm going to start at verse 7.
That's cool.
Now when Apollonius came to the king and showed him of the money whereof he was told, the king chose out Heliodorus his treasurer and sent him with a commandment to bring him the foresaid money. So forthwith Heliodorus took his journey under a color of visiting the cities of Celesyria and Phoenix. But indeed to fulfill the king's purpose. And when he was come to Jerusalem and had been courteously received of the high priest of the city, he told him what intelligence was given of the money, and declared whereof he came, and asked if these things were so indeed. Then the high priest told him that there was such money laid up for the relief of widows and fatherless children. It's pretty much like the welfare system I had to.
Yeah, treasury.
Like, speak up, Taz.
All right, come.
Yeah, y'all speak up.
Verse 11, and that some of it belonged to Hyrcanus son of Tobias, a man of great dignity, and not as that wicked Simon had misinformed. It says the sum whereof in all was 400 talents of silver and 200 of gold, and that it was altogether impossible that such wrong should be done unto them that had committed it to the holiness of the place, and to the majesty and inviolable sanctity of the temple honored over all the world. But Heliodorus, because of the king's commandment given him, said that in any wise it must be brought into the king's treasury. So at that day when he appointed which he appointed, he entered in to order this matter. Wherefore there was no small agony throughout the whole city.
It's pretty much, it makes mention of Heliodorus right there. But it also goes in how he was a hoe-ass nigga. And other Edomites that were hoe-ass niggas. And other niggas that was hoe-ass niggas. It's a lot of them written about in Maccabees. A lot of them that are alive today in Israel. Hoe-ass niggas.
So you can read 2 Maccabees, the 3rd chapter, to get that whole history of Heliodorus, him going to Jerusalem, collecting the funds, and then eventually him killing Seleucus the fourth, and then now we're going to go into it.
That's right. So we can jump to Daniel 11 and verse 21.
Yep. Continuing on in Daniel 11:21, and in his estate shall stand up a vile person.
So do brothers know what it means when it says in somebody's estate? Okay.
After their rule or their successor.
There you go. After their rule or their successor. So after Seleucus, all right, the fourth, after he died, somebody else came into power that this brother's about to read about.
Yep. It says, and in his estate shall stand up a vile person, to whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdom, but he shall come in peaceably and obtained the kingdom by flatteries.
Wargo, who's this vile person, brother? Okay, it's all good. It's all good. Who's that vile person? Antiochus Epiphanes. Because remember, the prior one before Seleucus was Antiochus the third. All right, so Antiochus Epiphanes is Antiochus the fourth. All right, and it makes mention, even matter of fact, that we can hold that in Maccabees. Was somebody about to say something?
Yeah, the word epiphany, does it translate to fourth? Or is it just
No,
a title?
It means God manifests.
God manifests.
Shows that pride. You know, that Edomite pride right there. Anybody got that first? Somebody can hold it in First Maccabees, the first chapter, around verse 10.
I got it.
Come on.
This is First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 10.
Because remember, we just read about the four that came out of Alexander, 4 generals. All right, and also it says wickedness was multiplied on the earth in these times. So it makes mention that this person is that vile. So this person right here in this influence caused wickedness to multiply. You know, you got it.
First Maccabees 1 and 10. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been a hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks.
And just as a footnote, that's also another reason why Seleucus IV wanted to put that bread together and pretty much put a tax over his people, not only to pay Rome, but also to get his brother, you know, from being a captive. You know, so that's another reason why he was raising those taxes, to get his brother back from Rome, you know, primitive Roman persecution. You know, meant to add that as well, you know, when I mentioned that prior, when it was read in the prior verse. You got it, Shapar.
First Maccabees 1 and 11, it says, in those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow.
There you go. You know, so under Antiochus' rule, there were more wicked niggas that came up to join league with him. And you can read about that in Maccabees whenever you get the time. We ain't finna go into all of that, but you know, most brothers that have read Maccabees are pretty privy to it. If you haven't, check it out. It's a very action-packed read. Okay, a lot of history in that. We can jump back to that Daniel 11:21, Baba Kashaw.
If I can say real quick,
Contas.
in order for you to understand the New Testament and who Yahushua, the disciples, you know, who they were writing to and talking to, you have to understand, you have to read the book of Maccabees. If you don't read the book of Maccabees, then you're not going to understand the New Testament.
Right.
You're not going to understand who those Greeks were. You're not going to understand who these Israelites were that were called, they were Gentiles following after the Greco-Roman customs. That's why these Christians, they just will just jump to the New Testament.
Exactly.
You don't understand there's a whole, you know, a whole 500 plus year history, damn near, that's just omitted.
Right. Right.
This is 500 years that they just omit.
It's like watching a 3-part series without part 2.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? You watch season 1 and you starting to watch season 3, but you're gonna explain the whole trilogy. You can't do it. You know what I'm saying? It don't work like that.
That's right. That's right. That's why the Lord gave us books like Daniel 8, Daniel 11, and Maccabees.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Which they try to take out, but Maccabees goes hand in hand in Daniel 11. So to say the Apocrypha is irrelevant, it's not canon, you're saying Daniel the 11th chapter is not canon neither. You're saying other verses that Yahushua quoted in Matthew 24 are not canon, and other various verses, you know?
That's why they try to always equate Daniel 11. And when they don't know, they try to bring up the Antichrist, and you know what I'm saying? They try to bring up...
Because they've omitted a whole... Exactly. That's right. Yeah. You got it out.
This is a 21st verse? Guys, got a precept here real quick. This is I know bro brought out First Maccabees 10. Yeah, we just
1 and 10. Yeah, we just read it.
Okay, yeah, I just had some background on it.
For sure.
That here that he was held in hostage in Rome 12 years after his father died. And most hostages during that time were held for like maybe 2 or 3 years, but it just goes to show the discontent that they had for him. He was actually known as Epiphanes the Madman.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's so there was like a play on words. Epimanes is the Greek way to say madman. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So the Epiphanes is you know, phonetically similar to Epimanes. That's what they call him. You know, they wouldn't say it to his face, but they talk about him, Antiochus Epimanes.
Y'all some sharp cats.
If you look at,
I'll get right back to y'all, brother. And when you look at it, just say it spiritually, with a spiritual eye, because we're spiritual men. Look up the similarities between Trump and Antiochus.
Boom. There you go. Absolutely.
That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was thinking about that when I was putting this lesson together.
Very eerily similar.
Could be them, but at the same time, you know, hey, they're Edomites, so you know they all got the same fucking wicked spirit anyway. Right. Could be them, you know, could be for sure. But go ahead, Yazar. No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about Yazarala.
And it just goes on to say, and it's just a spirit, because I actually did a lesson on this a couple of years back. I love this history, it's deep. So I'm just looking at my notes, and it says here that told you that showed his father, little comment, little scene. He said he was known as Epiphanes the madman, or what I now brought out, to whom he had not given honor to the kingdom, meaning neither his father nor his brother nor his peers and the people of the land of the kingdom of Syria, they had never once thought of him as making him a king. They never chose him, nor called him, nor crowned him. Right, it just goes to show you the actual disdain that this people had for this man.
That's right.
At that time, when you actually go into the actual history of it.
That's right. Well, that's why when you read it in, matter of fact, we didn't even finish up verse 21, did we, Anna?
No, we know. Just started.
Okay, because it's gonna. No, you're good because it goes right into what you read, but it's a way that it's worded here in Daniel 11 and 21 that explains. Well, you just explained what he's about to read.
All right, continuing on, Daniel 11:21. It says, well, actually, I did just finish it. You may read again?
No, it's okay. Pretty much it's quoted, to whom they shall not give honor of the kingdom. And that's what it's talking about, because he wasn't the inherent ruler to rule afterward. That's why he had to do it with flatteries. That's why he had to do it with his mouthpiece. He had to convey everybody to pretty much agree with him. You know, because again, he had the notion of being the madman and all of that and everything. So he had to do a lot of work. And it started with him actually getting a little powerful little group, and they ended up doing a lot of exploits and grew from then. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. So when it says that, again, to whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdom, what that's going into is he's not the rightful heir, and people knew that. You know what I'm saying? Just like what you read. Absolutely. You know?
All right. Continue on to verse 22. It says, and with the armies of a flood shall they be overflown from before him.
So with that small cluster, he was able to gather together of mighty men. They was able to do a lot. They did a lot of exploits, you know? And we can't forget Rome was still Rome at this time. But he's kind of doing this thing on the side and getting puffed up the more that he's doing, which is going to lead to what we're going to read going into why they actually fucked us up the way that he did. You know what I'm saying? We were pretty much a tackling dummy to him in a sense, you know, because he's an Edomite and Edomites hate Jake, you know?
Yep. It says, and with the arms of a flood shall they be overflown from before him, and shall be broken, yea, also the prince of the covenant.
Now the prince of the covenant right here is talking about Onias III, the high priest, the brother of Jason. All right, and when you read about Onias, he hated wickedness. He was one of them cats that, you know, he's a brother, you know what I'm saying? So when he was one of them fervent brothers that was looked at very highly in the eyes of the, you know, the inhabitants of Israel. Sure. You know, go ahead.
I was going to say, well, that goes back into 2 Maccabees, the 3rd chapter.
Get it. Verses 1 through 3. Let's get it. I was going to have it pulled up anyway. No, say what you was going to say, though.
How it goes to show how Onias III was, you know, killed.
Absolutely. Yeah, go in and get that. And we can also hold, since you hold Maccabees, you can also read 2 Maccabees 4. Start around 33. But first read that 2 Maccabees 3.
Okay. This is the book of 2 Maccabees 3 from the top. It says, now, when the holy city was inhabited with all peace, and the laws were kept very well, because of the godliness of Onias, the high priest.
So that's why it says the prince of the covenant right there. We was so structured, excuse me, as a nation during all this warfare that's taking place. The scripture says because of this cat, you know, so he was on point. He was a great leader to our people, you know, a great high priest. You know, you got it.
God, it says, because of the godliness of Onias, the high priest, and his hatred of wickedness, it came to pass that even the kings themselves did honor the place and magnify the temple with their best gifts.
So they even magnified the temple and honored them based on his influence right there. Different kings, different rulers. You know, this is why, again, a lot of those kings were intrigued by us and are still intrigued by us, even though we're no people. You know, but they're intrigued by how we serve and worship, you know. And again, we said it earlier, which is why Alexander never Hellenized us officially. He was intrigued on how we serve. You know what I'm saying?
It says verse 3, insomuch that Seleucus, king of Asia, of his own revenues, bear all the costs belonging to the service of the sacrifice.
And this is going into Seleucus the Fourth, what we just read about, okay? And that was verse 3 you read, right?
Got it.
Okay, we don't got to bring 2 Maccabees 4. It's all good. That's pretty much the point right there.
A quick
You know?
question. During that time, was Egypt pretty much kind of the supply chain for Rome?
Oh, most definitely it was a supply chain for Rome.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
But there was a lot of regions that was supply chains for Rome. Again, Rome, pretty much Rome had a lot of these people, these nations tributary under them.
Right.
You know, so when Antiochus, and we're going to read about it, but when they started going and fighting against Egypt and stuff, that's where Rome got infuriated. You know, we're going to go into it because that infuriation of Rome ultimately led to why Antiochus Epiphanes rained hell on us. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. You said what? There you. That's where that line in the sand come from. That's right. That's right. Cool.
What you gonna do before you
cross that line?
Yeah, we gonna get that here. We gonna get that here quick, you know, shortly. You know, we can get that verse 23 now.
All right.
Daniel 11.
It says, verse 23, and after the league made with him, he shall work deceitfully, for he shall come up and shall become strong with a small people.
There you go. All right. And that's what, you know, again, I said it earlier. It was a small company that turned into a large company. You know, but again, it said earlier, he did it through with flatteries. You know, he did it with his mouthpiece, you know. So he was a motherfucker that could really talk, which just makes sense. Like you made mention of Trump. Not saying it's him, but there are very similar characteristics when you look at it, you know.
That's why this is where you get in Daniel 8, where it talks about through his policy.
There you go.
Craft is prosper. Absolutely. That's, you know, specifically talking about Antiochus Epiphanes IV going into this account here through his speech, through the way he was able to have his gift of gab.
That's right. And you saw those same flatteries here recently. We're gonna keep using modern day examples, the Trumps, the Netanyahus, these different Edomite leaders, and you wonder how they got in positions of power. They did it through flatteries. You know, that's what Esau's known for. He's gonna flatter his own people, and Trump definitely did that. You know, he came up with MAGA, and everybody was with that. Now these same MAGAs got an attitude with this nigga.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. They want him impeached.
Yeah, they want him impeached. That's right. Con, you got it, bro.
Con. It says, verse 23 again. And after the league made with him, he shall work deceitfully, for he shall come up and shall become strong with a small people.
There you go. It was just broke down. You got it.
Verse 24, he shall enter peaceably, even upon the fattest places of the province.
Very fruitful lands, prosperous areas, and he did it to scope them out. All right, because he eventually wanted to take that shit. You know, so he went up in there with flattery, speaking peacefully to the inhabitants up there, but really deep down he wanted that shit. Because again, he didn't have a whole lot when he started, but he's trying to expand. You know, and him trying to expand, he couldn't do it through warfare like his predecessors did. You know, he did it through flatteries. Okay?
Real quick precept.
You got it.
Psalm 55 and 20 and 21. He had put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He had broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords.
That's right. That's right. There you go. And this is a chief embodiment of that scripture as we're reading about this history. All right. You know, so pretty much, you know, he used a new strategy that his predecessors wasn't doing because they were just going in there guns blazing. You know, he did it through another way. He did it pretty much, how did I write it down? By controlling people through their distribution and wealth. You know, that's how he was able to scatter the prey and spoil and take riches. You know, you got it, brother.
All right. Continuing on here in verse 24, in the middle it says, and he shall do that which his fathers have not done.
There you go.
Nor his fathers' fathers. He shall scatter among them the prey and spoil and riches. Yea, and he shall forecast his devices against the strongholds, even for a time.
There you go. So he shall forecast his devices against the stronghold. Brothers know what that means? Pretty much, he's seeing afar off what his plans was. He's seeing all the fruitfulness and the riches, and he like, hell yeah, I'm finna eventually get that shit. You know, just as, you know, the time of King Hezekiah when he allowed those Babylonians into the temple, or eventually later on they sieged it. They was forecasting shit around that time. They looking like, ooh, bet. All right, okay, cool. We know what y'all got. We finna go in there and take all that stuff eventually. You know?
You know, it says before the morning is light, they practice it. You know, that word practice in the Hebrew is aisha, which means to do or to accomplish. You know, he devised iniquity. So he devised it before he even did it. He had to go up in there and scope the scene out to know, okay, yeah, that's why he used peace in the beginning to scope the scene out so that how he could use the sword eventually. That's how Esau works. That's how he moves.
That's right.
The very day, that's how Esau get down. He'll come peaceably and, you know, I'm going to be your friend, all this kind of bullshit. But really, he's plotting on how to take it down.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's why our forefather Sirach, you know, wrote in the book of Ecclesiastes during the time of, you know, this time period. He says, receive not every man into your home, for many men have deceitful trains.
There you go.
You know, so he could very well be making reference to, you know, this king, but that's just practical wisdom in general.
Whether it's that king or any of those kings, that's the shit that they was on, them Edomite kings. So he's speaking from a perspective of somebody that was under the Edomite rule, just like we are. So it makes sense for that to be the case. You know, that's why I like Sirach so much when you read about that wisdom, because we apply it today because he was living during Edomite supremacy in that time, during unjust rule of Edomite supremacy at that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, very, very solid point.
That's one thing as prophets, as you go through the scriptures, no matter what point in time in history you in, you can correlate it to today.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And going into that history, the way we're going into detail, we'll be able to tell our version of it someday.
That's right. That's right.
History repeats itself.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Is that what shall be?
There you go.
As you go through the scriptures, like I can't remember who said it earlier, but as you go through the scriptures, it's all about, okay, well, with all these people, with all these movers and shakers and all this shit that's happening, what was going on with Israel?
Right.
That's what all the history of the world is about. Okay, well, in that point in time in history,
That's
what
right.
was going on with the Israelites? And the Bible is telling you that what was going on with all those kingdoms. You know what I'm saying?
God, that's right. Solid, solid.
Keep going, Daniel.
Please.
All
Verse
right.
25, right? I think we got through 24.
Yep. Verse 25 says, and he shall stir up his power and his courage against the king of the south with a great army. And the king of the south shall be stirred up to battle with a very great and mighty army, but he shall not stand.
There you go. So here in this point, Antiochus Epiphanes stirs up conflict with Ptolemy the Fourth. This is Ptolemy the Fourth right here, Philometor. Okay, and pretty much, you know, Egypt responds strongly, and they gather a massive force. So both sides are now gathering forces again to go into more warfare. Okay, and pretty much, you know, matter of fact, you didn't finish that, right?
No, I didn't finish the verse.
Okay, you got it. You got it.
All right, it says to battle. It says the king of the south shall be stirred up to battle with a very great and mighty army, but he shall not stand, for they shall forecast devices against him.
Yeah, so pretty much those forecast devices, there's plots and schemes. So more so that loss didn't come from battle, but more so it came from within. And this is the king of the south side. All right, so there were different aristocrats and nobles and such that were there that helped, how can I put it? Help destroy them from within, you know, which is why they eventually lost later on. Okay, that's what that's going into.
Okay.
Yeah, you got it.
Yep. It says, verse 26, yea, they that feed the portion of his meat shall destroy him.
There you go. That's the point right there. There is that eat meat with him. So those that are right there in league with him. And I believe in that prior verse that made mention of forecasting again.
Yeah,
you know, so they seen it afar off. So they already was plotting from the start.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's why the scripture says never trust these Edomites, man. It says never trust your enemy, but those are a mortal enemy. You can't trust these motherfuckers, man. They always forecasting or plotting some type of way to come up over you. Whether they smile. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know?
That's speaking about the Israelites.
No, that's literally speaking about the northern, pretty much the king of the north and the kingdom of the south. Battle going on. They was pretty much getting military strong to go into another battle. And they fought, but they didn't lose just by warfare. The south, Egypt, lost because of the inner workings that was done, which crippled them to lose the battle. You know what I'm saying?
Paul's mainly speaking about the first part says, yea, they that feed of the portion of his meat
Right.
shall destroy him. Who's that?
Those are the nobles that was amongst
Yeah,
them,
counselors.
his counselors, his counterparts, and such like that.
Specifically the king of the south.
Well, that made me think about. I just wanted to get clarification because that made me think about Obadiah. Now it speaks about they eat that bread.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Exactly. And also too, even when you look at the beast hating the whore and such like that, you know, in a very broader sense, these are all people, nations that was in league, but you know, the beast is gonna burn the whore with fire. You know, so Edomite supremacy, of course, it's all done by Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai because it's through prophecy. But Edomite supremacy is gonna fall because of the schisms and the cracks within Edomite supremacy, which is why in Daniel 2 it makes mention of the feet of that statue being like clay and being like iron together. It ain't gonna hold. You know what I'm saying? They'll never get along because you always have one of them that want the higher position than the other. You know what I'm saying? That's Edomite nature to the T. You know, you see it within the work field, you see it outside, you see it within the movies. That's how they think, that's how they move, that's how they were created to be. You know, which is why even Yahweh Shai said, you know, if Satan is divided against Satan, that kingdom ain't gonna stand. It's not Edomite Satan. Satan is divided against itself like a motherfucker. Right. You know, even around this time. Because the beginning of this, the Seleucid line came up under the Ptolemaics. And immediately there was battling afterwards. You know?
Can I grab a scripture?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
This is, the book of Matthew, chapter 20, and I'm going to read it in the NLT, verse 25. This is what Yahweh Shah said, which we know that he was during the time of the Roman Empire. But he says, but Yahweh Shah called them together and said, you know that the rulers in this world lord it over their people, and officials flaunt their authority over those under them. So Yahweh Shah was speaking about how the Romans dealt amongst each other.
Exactly.
And amongst you, it's not gonna be like that. You know, whoever wants to be the leader, you gotta be a base. We don't deal like these Edomites.
That's right. Absolutely. Solid precept. Solid precept. Verse 26.
Continuing on, verse 26. It says, yea, they that feed of the portion of his meat shall destroy him, and his army shall overflow, and many shall fall down slain.
All right. So that's how that battle took place. All right. Now it's on to the next one, what this brother's finna read. Okay. So, I meant to say as well, after he pretty much took the South and everything like that, he also made the king of the South, Ptolemy, a puppet ruler under him at this point. You know, so now at this point, the king of the South is under the king of the North. And again, is acting as a puppet ruler under him. Just wanted to bring that point out. Okay. You got it, bro.
All right. Verse 27, it says, and both these kings' hearts shall be to do mischief, and they shall speak lies at one table, but it shall not prosper.
All right. So this account right here is going into a meeting that they actually had. And that meeting took place in Memphis, Egypt. All right. Memphis was like a hub where nobles would come together and actually break bread and meet together, like different kings, you know, so they met over there with each other, but none of them had the mindset of agreeing with one another. None of them came over there with the spirit of let's compromise and come to an agreement. They both came up there plotting, you know, forecasting evils against each other.
That sounds like Esau with the nuclear arms talk with Iran.
Exactly. You know, this is Edomite nature. Bro, that's why I say like the Greek Empire started Edomite supremacy. That was the start of Edomite supremacy, and it started with holes and fighting and such. You know, so just as you've seen it back then, as we're reading about, you can clearly envision it right now when you look at the beast and the whore.
Yep.
You know?
When you watch those shows like Game of Thrones, Spartacus.
Exactly.
You get to see how these different rulers and even smaller, lesser rulers, you know, use political play to get themselves, because you're talking about legacy. One of your daughters, the sons can get up in there and can completely change the trajectory of your family.
Absolutely.
You see? So this is what you're reading about, is these guys playing these political games to get themselves and jockey themselves in better positions, you know? And Esau, you know, is big on this shit, but it's not just Esau. It's all the nations, you know? But Esau is at the forefront of deception, lying, deceit, rape, robbery, and murder.
For sure.
See, the seed of the serpent.
Yep, border of wickedness. That's right.
So they sitting at dinner and meet together. You know, it's where you talk about these type of things. You know?
Yep.
And they saying one thing but meaning something else.
Man, absolutely.
Yeah. So you can only imagine.
Yep.
the type of conversation.
Kind, that's right. Shalom. So now we're getting into a very crucial point, and this is the point right here. Well, we'll bring a few more verses. We'll close it, continue it on later, Lord's will. But we're getting to the point where, like Yasra'Allah, wherever he's at, made mention of pretty much, that part of Egypt being tributary under the Romans. You know what I'm saying? Remember, Rome is peeping game and everything like that, and they waiting to bust that move. So as this meeting was taking place and they was plotting, best believe word got to the Romans. That's why they met their asses there when the brother's finna read this next verse. You got it, bro.
It's back in Daniel 11 and 28. It says then
20. Oh yeah, that's right. 28. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It says then shall he return into his land with great riches, and his heart shall be against the holy covenant, and he shall do great exploits and return to his own land.
All right. So as he was going back to return, he was like, let me go and fuck these Israelites up again. Let me go right over there. Because we were right there. He had to kind of pass by anyway, see what was going on. And best believe as he went over there, we don't know the exact details of how that conversation went, but he was definitely pissed off about something because he wanted to take his anger and frustration out towards us. And not even just us, because as it was read earlier that, pretty much they already started to occupy our territory anyway. But now it's coming into the point where he's looking to sabotage the temple. You know what I'm saying? The covenant, how we do worship, how we do our service and such. Our connection to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. He was coming to break that apart. Okay? You got it, bro.
All right. It says, verse 29, and at the time appointed.
Matter of fact, I'm sorry, brother. Salakia. Can somebody bring up 1 Maccabees 1 and 20, Baba Kashaw?
I got it right here.
Okay.
It's 1 Maccabees 1 and 20. It says, and after that Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in the 143rd year and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude.
So after he went to Egypt, they returned again, had that deal, came back and did exactly what this brother just read. That's why, like Elder Ariala said, 1 Maccabees doesn't really start until around the fourth Syrian war.
Now, what verse are y'all in? In Daniel
29.
Right now, currently 29.
Okay, so y'all approaching this part. So now we're at the part to where Rome is highly involved.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So now there's wars happening, which is called the Macedonian Roman Wars or the Macedonian Roman Wars or something like that, where you have the Seleucid Empire going back and forth with the Romans. So guess what the Israelites are doing?
Building.
They're making pacts with who? Rome.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Read that earlier. That's right. That's right.
So you'll see where our people are going back and making leagues with Roman Edomites at this time, because by this time Edomites have taken over what's called the Latin area, and pretty much pushed Japhet up out of there. Now they pushed Japhet up out of there hundreds of years before that.
Okay.
But they worked up in there through marriages in the same way we've been reading about.
Okay.
They slowly worked their way up and built themselves up and made a mighty empire. Not the Pax Romana that we understand, but this is like before Julius.
This is the Republic.
Julius Caesar doesn't come around till about 48 BC.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So we're seeing at this point Rome is still like Rome.
Yeah, absolutely.
So so even the Greeks are looking at Rome at this time like they're trying to be cool with them. And so Israel is like, we're gonna fuck with Rome.
Yep.
So to keep Seleucus off our back.
That's exactly it.
Okay.
That's right. It's a spirit. Yeah. And the water for clarifying that, because I made mention it could have been Etruscans or Edomites, and so the water for that.
Yeah.
So that was Edomite supremacy, even dealing with Rome fully at that time.
At this point, Esau pretty much has taken over that area.
Got you.
You had something called the Greek Dark Ages that's happened from like roughly around like 1100 to 1100, maybe 750 BC.
Yep.
Where at that time, like you have the Dark Ages today, where they call it, where it was nothing going on, as Esau says, but it was really the downfall of Jake rule in Europe. It's the same stuff that was happening in Europe at that time, but it was the fall of Japhet or the Minoans, for lack of better words. You know what I'm saying? But pretty much Japhet fell, and Esau crept up in it.
Right.
So there's this period of where there's no history. When motherfucker didn't carve a stone that.
Right.
bullshit,
Yeah, exactly. Hmm.
Right? It's just, you got taken over, bro.
Yep.
So the history got usurped.
That's right. That's right.
And
Absolutely.
just like Tasma was saying, you can Google it. Google it. It's called the Greek Dark Ages.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you did a lesson on that years ago. All right.
Keep going on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This is back in Daniel 11 and verse 29. It says, "At the time appointed, he shall return and come toward the south."
All right. So it says it right there. Come toward the south. So now gonna go back to Egypt again. Okay.
All right. It says, "But it shall not be as the former."
Right, because they met up last time, and even prior times they had battles. They was winning. You know, Egypt was through, but it wasn't gonna be nothing like that time because the big dogs came out to play, and it's gonna go into it here real quick.
It says, "Or as the latter." Okay. It says verse 30. "For the ships."
Read 29 again, Salakia.
Okay. All right. This is Daniel 11:29. "At the time appointed, he shall return and come toward the south, but it shall not be as the former or as the latter."
There you go. And the following verse is going to explain why. And we can end it on verse 30. What we're getting ready to read.
All right. Verse 30 says, "For the ships of Shittim shall come against him."
All right. So this is talking about Rome, where Barak is. Yeah. See, it makes mention of Chittim right here. This is talking about Rome. All right. And naturally, the one that actually met up with them, it was an individual by the name of Gaius Popilus Lanus. All right. And it was a Roman envoy that met with them. And just as the elder Yarala just said, while he was going to do it, they drew a circle in the sand around him and pretty much said, before you get up out this circle, make sure you make your next move your best move. You know, pretty much sunned them, for lack of better words. And this Antiochus Epiphanes we're talking about. Very proud, you know, evil, arrogant, especially when he's in a position where he can't do nothing at that time. You know what I'm saying? Got sunned that bad. You got it.
You could only imagine, basically, he drew a line in it and said, when you cross that line, let me know what you want.
That's it.
What smoke you want.
Exactly.
Right? So imagine, you know, you big and bad, right? Motherfucker come up to you, and you know you can't fuck with them. At this point, he knew, Antiochus knew.
Absolutely.
He can't fuck with them. So he put a line, he put a circle around, like, all right, what you gonna do?
Yep.
Player.
That's right. That's right.
So that leads into a lot, though, after that.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because this right here is, you know, this account right here is where you start really getting to why he did what he did to us. You know what I'm saying? He was livid, frustrated, couldn't take his anger out when he did. So he used Jake as a punching bag, you know? So just because Rome interfered by having them ships and all that confront him, this humiliated him, which caused him to redirect his anger toward us. All right. And here he teams up with certain wicked Jake, all right, who compromise themselves to follow in the ways of Greece and siding with him, which is where you get them wicked men. You know what I'm saying? So it really just, we obviously know Jake be wicked, but man, to side with this nigga right here, show you how dark Jake is and how them same niggas that did that are back today. You know, they're back today, bro. That's why you read it in books like 2nd Ezra 16, where it says, matter of fact, we can end it off on that, finish off on that one, but that'll be one of the ending scriptures we can end on.
Yeah, underneath the previous Antiochus rulers, Jake was able to continue to build. So our temples were built up. So we have treasure, tithes, gold, silver in our temples at this time when he decides to come and sack the temple.
Exactly.
So after he had this encounter with the Romans, he comes and does basically a siege on Jerusalem. And what we understand is Judea in the time of Rome. And they get rich. Now, you got to put it into AI. I can't remember how much money that it was said that he took from that besiegement, but it was lots of money. Right?
Makes sense.
It literally, they were able to expand their own, what they have as an empire and nationhood at that time from that besiegement by like 1.5 to 2x. Like crazy bread, money.
Crazy.
Able to buy some shit, from taking all that money from us.
That's how much money was built up in the temple.
That's right. Heavy stuff, man. So it makes sense. Them wicked niggas I was amongst them wanted the piece of the pie.
Yeah,
You know.
100%. They
Mhm.
say, okay, well, we're gonna show y'all how to do this. So
Yeah.
let us be able to do this when y'all do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's where Jason come into play. You know what I'm saying? Onias' brother, the one that became priest afterward, man, he was way different than his brother. Because as we read it earlier in 2 Maccabees 3, when Onias was the high priest, his name reached different regions and they had respect for him. You know, Onias was one of the reasons why Jake was so great around this time in the temple. You know, I mean, it was the Lord clearly, but as we read it in 2 Maccabees 3, it literally says that. You know, so the temple was owned at this time. You know, and that's why he wanted to take it. You know, not only just to put his frustration off, but to get that bag, to get that bread. Because the Edomites we're talking about. Mm-hmm. That's right. And you know, we can read First Maccabees. Let's bring out First Maccabees 1 and 11. Bobby Gashar, I know we read verse 10 earlier. You said what?
I do have a question though.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously he did, steal from our temple. But when you read that in 2 Maccabees, the 3rd chapter, the angels, beat Heliodorus' ass. So when he get the treasure?
Okay, no. So the time of Heliodorus was a little bit before that.
Oh, okay.
That goes into pretty much them scoping the land. It was a lot that took place. He didn't. First Maccabees takes place after parts of 2 Maccabees, what you just read right there.
Yeah.
You know, so they already had the idea. They know what the temple was worth and everything. But eventually they sacked it completely, which is where you get the Maccabean revolt that came forth later on, which was led by Judas Maccabees and such.
Because Heliodorus was around Seleucus IV.
Right.
Antiochus IV was after Seleucus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Antiochus was still in jail, captive in Rome at that time, which you're going into. For sure. But we can bring that that First Maccabees 1:11, and we can end it on 2nd Ezra 16, going into that insurrection, because again, as we're going into it, around this time where these wars was taking place, eventually there was an insurrection that led up against Jake, right when this warfare was happening. And when you look at things through the spirit, because we know, Shapal, I think you quoted it earlier, the thing that has been is that which shall be. While they're in war, it's going to be another siege against us again. Jacob's trouble, All
right. First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow.
Yeah, there you go. So pretty much they was in the spirit of them Jakes in the wilderness, man. We want them onion. They was in that spirit.
Yeah.
Well, we catching hell, so we might as well make league with them. Traitorous ass niggas. And there was a lot of them back then. And best believe as there was a lot of them back then, as we about to read in 2nd Ezra 16, it's a lot of them that are getting ready to pop up. You clearly see it. These guys that want to be in the spotlight, want to join hand in hand with Esau, sit down with them and shit. These going to be the same ones that want to join league with them in their time. That's right. That was it on that one pretty much. Whoever got that 2nd Ezra 16 help. You can jump straight to the point. Go into that great insurrection.
Oh, yeah, I got you. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 16, verse.
You can start off a few verses prior, Bobby Gashar.
All right, here we go. I'll start at verse
like 60. Okay, cool, that's fine.
You said 65%?
No, you got it, bro.
All right, 68, it says, for behold, the burning wrath of the great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols.
And that's literally what happened during when we were sieged. That's literally what happened. They took away the altar and had us worshiping, what I'm saying? They eating swine's flesh and everything. Now in this day and age, it's going to be the MOTB. It ain't going to be the swine's flesh this time. I know this elder right here went into that years ago. Brought that point out.
Yeah, but it's going to be a new, so-called, to a degree, a new abomination of desolation.
Yeah, it's going to be like a new abomination of desolation. Exactly.
I'll think the same.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Verse 69, and they that consent unto them shall and they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden underfoot. For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord.
There you go. So there's an insurrection that's getting ready to come to Jake, just as it was back then. The thing had been, I'm going to say it for a 4th time, is that which shall be. And there is no new thing under the sun. And you notice the pattern. It's during the time of intense warfare. During the time of intense warfare, man. So just as it happened back then, that insurrection is going to take place again during the time of intense warfare.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. You got it, bro.
All right, verse 71. It says, they shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses.
It's like, didn't y'all say that Epiphanies, that title is a madman?
There you go. There you go.
Epimenides.
Epimenides.
God manifest.
But still, madman sparing none. You see the spirit of that. The spirit always links things up through the spirit. You know, you got it.
Verse 73, it says, then shall they be known who are my chosen.
Well, it should have went into a burning. It should have went into the sellout Jakes as well. It's around that. It's around that. It might be prior to 68.
Yeah, I read verse 68.
Oh, that was it. Read that again.
It says, for behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled against you, and they shall take away certain of you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols, or
you know,
they that consent unto them shall be had in derision.
There,
and
okay.
reproach. Yeah, that's
okay.
That's
for sure. For sure. There we go. There we go.
Yeah, you know, verse 69.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So it was read. Salakia. You got it though.
I'll read verse 72 again. It says, for they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. Then shall they be known who are my chosen.
There you go. Then there shall be known who are my chosen. Now, a beautiful thing is, as we're going back into this time period of the Assyrian Wars and Maccabees, around that time, you know who was chosen by the Lord. They was the ones that actually stood up and fought. Now, in this setting, it ain't going to be the same way as last time. You know what I'm saying? Because they actually stood up in arms and had battles against them. It's the Lord that's fighting for us. But you have men that are going to stand stiffly for the Lord, just as you had those men that stood stiffly for the Lord back then. You know, when you read about it, every time they trusted the Lord, they always won those battles. Yep. We're coming into a fight where your arms ain't going to be able to save you, but trusting in the Lord is going to deliver. All right. We was able to reset up the temple, rededicate it through that trust in the Lord, you know, during the time of war, by the way. You know, you got it, bro.
Right. It says, then shall it, verse 73, then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as gold in the fire. It says, hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord. Behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same.
There you go. But you got to trust. You know, Isaiah 33:6. Knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord shall be thy treasure. All right. You ain't going to have none of that if you don't trust him. You know, if you trust him, you're going to get out of any situation. And whatever situation you are faced with, you're going to trust him anyway. So you already know you're taken care of regardless of the matter. You know, these are all stuff that we privy to, brothers. We know about these prophecies. We don't know the details of how it's going to take place, but we know it's going to get ugly out here. But the beauty is it's going to get ugly before the beauty comes. And when that ugly phase hits, the Lord got us, man. That's time for us to shine for real, for real. That's right. You know, that trust is going to definitely be key and important more now than ever before.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
That was pretty much the point, unless brothers had any points, precepts, closing points. That was pretty much that for now.
You found a lesson, brother.
Okay, Khan, they call all y'all about Shim Yabashai, man. You know, so for those of you all that are listening, all right, we made it to verse 30 in Daniel chapter 11. And Lord's will, we know we're going to conclude it for right now, but Lord's will, it gets picked back up within the next week. All right, but hopefully that was edifying. We want to close it out by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahawashi, Bahashim, Kodash. Double honors to our apostles and bishops and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings and salutations to you elect. Shalom.
Shalom.